Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a little bit more on this post that I made. It's Thomas Aaron Clark, who was stalking me, and why I ended up writing a cover sheet. This is a handwritten one because I didn't always have access to a computer at times. So I put that he was stalking me. This went on in relation to the Boston Marathon bombing attack. And what happened is he gave out my personal information in front of everybody, and it really scared the shit out of me. Should anybody. So while I'm dealing with a bunch of online terrorists, supposedly, he comes on and do this, and I end up having to make a video about him and his antics. So, as you can see, I use the term Speedy Bozo Productions, which, by the way, Speedy Bozo is Hoover's dog, J. Edgar Hoover's dog, by the way, so it's a little bit of a joke. I did not make the video on YouTube entirely public. It was a private video. Only certain people who could access the link could watch this video, so not everyone in the world got to watch this video. And I did that because of the personal information. I figured it had already been leaked anyway, and so I didn't really have much to lose at this point. And you might say, you gotta be kidding. That he's related to a CIA officer, and he is. I do have a previous video up on this here, in a case, the United States Supreme Court, where he was served with a subpoena, so he was an informant. This is a legitimate case, supposed military CID case. It's not that great of a copy, because the copy machine that this came from was a bit old, but it came from Judge Gregg's office originally. I was there when I got it. So it still has the seal on it when you print it. I didn't have anything to do with this case. I was in high school when this happened, so I wouldn't know what this would really have anything to do with me to begin with. Thomas now insists that I am on New Hampshire Insider, involved with these people when I've never met them. I never met Brian Chabot. It wasn't a matter that concerned me, but you can see he was living in Concord at 30 Cherry Street, which is an apartment place that they own. And he didn't report the income, of course, because he doesn't want to pay his child support. Unfortunately, I do have a child in common. When I was in pretty much a forced relationship with him due to the way that Tony and Walter Marshall treat me, which is like trash. In fact, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was homeless and forced out on the street, freezing and starving to death, and they wouldn't take me in. Nobody in the family would. And he even stalked me a little bit after that. He didn't for a while. So there you go. We have Christopher L. Zimmerman involved in this, Thomas making a statement, and of course he gets a reward of $7,000. I guess he wanted the reward that bad that he had to go to Judge Gregg's office to beg him to give him some money, because that's what he's after, is money. And because I wasn't there, I don't know really the whole story. It really shouldn't have dragged me into it. But this affidavit just verifies that he's been used as an informant in the past. He's probably a disciple agent for them. In fact, I'm quite certain that he is. And racketeering cases for him as well. Perhaps manipulating the media, public policy. He does have relatives that own New England Audio Tech, which does business as Rainbow Production Services in the state of New Hampshire. out of Atkinson. The owner is Jim Clark, also known as Hollis Clark Jr. So they and they do partnership with the New Hampshire government right there. But this is not saying I agree, and I know I did put the butterfly up there as a reference to Project Monarch and MK Ultra, because Thomas brought this up with his family in court with my daughter, and there could be some validity to it. Actually, there is, but the point of the matter is that I don't agree with these kinds of programs, but it's about his attitude problem and the fact that I really can't get anywhere with him. So I guess, and they're not going to let me live, by the way, Of course, they want me to die from my injuries from him and whatever else that went on. So they're interfering with my medical care. His family is. And Don and Bob Milram, which is a fake name, by the way. But very interestingly, we see here that he continuously likes to call me Whore of Babylon. We also see something very interesting in this post with the Infidel Task Force. So we know that he's able to stalk me wherever it goes. So that right there tells me somebody or him had access to NSA. Now, technically, I have really no way to verify that it actually is Thomas Aaron Clark making these posts. It could really be anybody behind the computer. It could be somebody pretending to be him. It could be him. It could be his brother, Paul Edward Clark, who is pretty computer savvy. Or even his family's friends. Or anybody that they want to do that too. But this is just to show that if this is Thomas, we have Tommy Terrace number 1 here. And then we have, later on, T. Aaron Clark. So we have 2 Thomases. So this just shows that there's probably group stalking going on using the name Thomas Aaron Clark. And you have that. And we even have a third one, just Tom. And it's the only time that the third one shows up. Now, given that this person knows personal information about me to some degree in my distorted way, I would have to say that this probably was Thomas and probably his brother Paul Edward Clark, who wants to be a senator out in Georgia. He went AWOL in the military, and I wouldn't be surprised if his ex-wife is involved. And of course, she's good friends with Vicky Ryle Sweat, who's also a friend of Lacey Kavanaugh. And of course, we have the Kavanaughs now on the U.S. Supreme Court. So there is some validity that he gets away with everything that he does. But you'll see here that he has made terrorist reports by other people. And you'll see that if I make the reports, nothing gets done. And there you go. We have him saying that he's never going to pay his child support. So we have the Central Intelligence Agency, or the NSA, and whoever he's involved in, the FBI, aiding and abetting child support fraud because of who his family is, and also the U.S. Supreme Court, which we'll get into later. So I'm not allowed to have child support. I'm not allowed to marry, according to him, either. I'm not allowed to have any life whatsoever. I'm not allowed to raise children. Our children are generationally stolen, so he has some legitimate reason to be angry, but the way he expresses it is obviously incorrect. And you don't go around threatening to blow up places for it. But he likes calling me the Whore of Babylon, which is really bizarre. And that is found in this new satanic temple that recently emerged. I don't know. I think his real name is Doug Mesner or something else. his first name is really Doug. It's not Lucian Greaves. I don't know why he's borrowing a biological family member's name, indirect relative to me, but but they do this really weird ritual where they act like the Whore of Babylon, which is kind of strange because they're Satanists and they supposedly don't believe in any god. So I don't know why they do that, or if it's just to make a joke of it or what. So the guy's definitely delusional, but he claims that he's going to get a doctor's degree. We also have him making comments, really rude, disgusting comments under Thomas 2 here. And assign my child over to him or else. So that's extortion. And he threatens to blow up my car. Makes a really disgusting reference to female anatomy here. And he makes a comment about me. Oh, this is kind of funny, but okay. I guess he makes a comment that I'm a squirter. All right, whatever. Big deal. I am born with a kidney anomaly, by the way. I'm born with extra tubes. But anyway, that's beside the point. It's not that uncommon of a kidney anomaly. I don't know if I have any other kidney anomalies, but this is, technically that is a reference. So apparently he thinks he's better than everyone because he has money in his family. He thinks he can do whatever he wants. So this guy is actually a narcissist too, of course. So this is just all right, so this is him saying that he's going to medial school. So he can't spell, by the way, if you noticed. His grammar sucks. Of course, he means medical school, but he spells in his medial school, which is kind of funny. And of course, I'm making a reference to him with New Hampshire Technical Institute, where I witnessed him posting on Craigslist. And you have to understand that I had like no contact with him for like a decade. Brief contact in Nashua one other time when he came down to stalk me, and Bernie Streeter's office sent me to the FBI after that because of his behavior and his threats. He also threatened, and I've never documented this before, but he's also threatened to invent exploding tampons to hurt women. So this guy is sick, psychopathic. Again, I couldn't charge him for rape in my situation. He was not the only stalker that harassed me by name. Another stalker, which at the time I didn't realize it could have been related, but I guess it might have been. Manny Gehring. I guess his full name is Manny, but he always went by Manny. He was an accountant in Concord, New Hampshire. I reported him to Concord Police Department. They didn't do anything, of course. But I went to a job interview, and he made me very uncomfortable. The guy was just something really just not right with the guy. And so I kind of, left. Well, he ended up stalking, trying to kidnap me, chasing me with his vehicle. Another one that stalked me was Sully Erner of Godsmack. even as far as going down to Nashua. And I guess even Brian Landy's sister knew about that and didn't really explain thoroughly what that was about. And then I had the incident of um, Dave Mason, Katie Relihan, and my own cousin, Kimberly not Nelson, it's Norris now, but it was Rand then, and Heather Landry, arranging with Osbert Mado. Also tried to go after Aaron Barker too, but she got his business card at a different time. Basically drugging me and manipulating me sexually. That also got reported to Hampton PD. And the detective involved, which is interesting, went to Toby's school, by the way, shows that never got anything done about that either. So there's a pattern here. In fact, at that Toby's school, an incident with John Annis with the Friends program. He was 19, I was 14. He tried to publicly kiss me, grab me. He also took me in the back of the room and pretty much actually, he raped me. I don't know if my parents found out about it. I think that they did, and they cut it off with the Friends program person, Barbara McCrae. But other than that, that got swept under the rug. Nothing done about that either. So this is actually a pattern. And of course, Ed Imhoff went to the Toby school, as did that Diana Ogle. So this is just to take a look at it. But I mentioned that he also had involvement with Bethel, and apparently Tom Clark knows an Anna Fitzgerald. And I don't know if it's the same relative to Ben Fitzgerald, but I wouldn't be surprised. But the Ben Fitzgerald shows up at that Bethel church. And he starts spreading lies about me, having members of the church post to my cell phone drugs, like trying to make me look like I'm involved with drug dealing, because he accused me of that, which I had never been involved in, any drug trafficking or anything like that. So we're going to look at the New Hampshire Technical Institute. Now, what's interesting about this is, before we talk about that, if you look at, this is part of the paperwork for the case with Jennifer Starr, who lived in with Dick Sweat, former U.S. Senator and Ambassador to Denmark. And, of course, Senator Sweat, Vicky Ryle, I guess, married into the Sweat family. I didn't know she was involved in the backdrop of this. Excuse me. So, but in that case, we have a court granting a motion for him, claiming he's going to get a big medal, but then he says here it's his uncle that actually got decorated, which, by the way, he never got decorated for anything. But he mentions to continue hearing after the Ken Giuliano trial, so we know that, he was used as an informant in that trial. And I didn't know about it because I didn't keep track of the restraining orders with Jen Starr. I had only talked to the woman probably about 2 or 3 times my entire life. One other time in Nashua. So this is just New Hampshire Technical Institute. And by the way, he testified on behalf of the Laconia Police Department, which is now, of course, with this. So I guess the justice is Kenneth Brown. And at the time we have to deal with this, he got a restraining order on him for making a post and declaring war on America, which, by the way, is treason. And to a Naomi Butterfield. So you can take a look at what was on there. But he admitted to making the post to Craigslist. I remember seeing it. He admitted it. I didn't know what was going on at the time, by the way. I was living out in California. I had no contact with Thomas at all for quite some time. I was only dealing with Don and Bob, not understanding that he had hired them to kidnap my daughter. There were other people, like I said, stalking me too. Besides the Manny Gehring, the Osbert Mado, Sully Erna, Benjamin Burnley before he married his wife. But that was only brief. I would say that was very minimal, and it wasn't completely that. But Benjamin Burnley actually used an apartment that was under Osbert Mado's name in Concord, and I didn't know it at the time. And who else was stalking me? One other guy in Concord did too. But I don't know his name. And then of course when I moved to Nashua, I had another kidnapping attempt by somebody's supposed father, the manager of Market Basket and Demolus in Nashua, not far from where I was living. And another case of stalking by a redheaded guy by the name of Dennis. And I even had a police officer somewhat stalking me. Pulled me over just to kind of flirt, I think. But anyway, so this is what he posts. Threatens, maybe alludes to me giving me the needle. Like I said, in January, I got kidnapped with falsified documents by this Sankey Sagia Piper that I have never met, don't know her. Of course, the case was dismissed. I'm not saying it's related to Thomas. It could be coincidence, but I doubt it. So here we have the former informant is now all of a sudden a domestic terrorist. And it was Stalkers that dragged him back into the case. I guess told him where he was staying out in California and started contacting and harassing me. And Star claims that she accidentally ran into him or coincidentally ran into him up at Hopkinton Fair, which is probably a bunch of nonsense. So Star Kobe knows Christian Skinner, and she knows the manager of POD, and she also knows Lacey of Flyleaf. But he lived on 59 Weirs Boulevard, right near Dennis Burke Lentz. So I thought this was interesting, because I knew Dennis Burke Lentz through a former attorney that I have that's now deceased by the name of Kevin Fahey. So apparently they put in here that Thomas thought that the Columbine shooters were martyrs. This is really odd. So they're trying to paint him as a terrorist. Yet here we have him in a subpoena involving, by the way, a cult group, a satanic group or something like that. That this Brian Chabot was involved in. Of course, Thomas was a member of the OTO. This is the sworn affidavit of John Paul Paroli. I'm not saying that he's telling the truth. I doubt he is telling the truth about everything involving the Temple Set group, which, by the way, is NSA pretty much under Michael Aquino. I don't know Michael Aquino. I never met him. So this really, OTO, though, I guess, I don't know anybody in my family that directly that is. I don't know why this guy was involved as Thomas was. But that's beside the point. The point of the matter is again, his behavior. And the fact that I can't get anything done no matter what. So they're allowed to do anything. And I don't have a problem with the U.S. Constitution. It's a good document. And I'm not saying Thomas doesn't have a valid point. They don't have any rights anymore in the United States. So something other than the United States is running the government. He's got a point there. Just his attitude is completely haywire, crazy. So this is a legitimate document. He's actually posted making that threat. And I'm being prejudiced simply because, and I was not with the man very long. Like I said, it was forced. In fact, I was even threatened to be with him, or he would murder anybody that was with me. So this is actually, so this guy can do whatever he wants. I've already shown it. And now, like I said, there are other times when he threatened to make exploding tampons. He threatened he was going to destroy my intestines. He says that I got him tortured at Guantanamo Bay or whatever, which I never did. He's never even been to Guantanamo Bay. So the guy is delusional. And then he spreads a bizarre rumor that I had an affair with Jay Fallon of Hedda, and I barely even know Jay Fallon. I talked to him twice. I didn't know everything was going on. I had very little information to go on. I got dragged into this completely and utterly. So, that's how that happened. Same thing with the girl on my wall. And I'm not a fugitive from anything. Well, these are just all the stuff that I got to deal with all the time, every time. I guess that covers this. But it gets to the point where I even had to write Interpol because of Ben Fitzgerald's problem. He's in Germany now, hiding over there because, he can't get any problem. He probably won't extradite him for kidnapping my daughter. But maybe I'll sue Germany over it. Because Ben Fitzgerald did have my daughter kidnapped. Probably, and you can say they manipulated Bethel, but they should have known better. Same thing with Larry and Olga Bergens in Sacramento. They didn't really have involvement in causing that, but they did have a problem with advocating it or in some way covering it up. Saying, oh, well, you'll see your daughter when you're 18. And I have not seen my daughter at all. I don't even know if she's dead or alive. I don't know if the girl that's claiming to be my daughter is really her. It's questionable because she's alleging all kinds of things that are not true about me at all. So they either lied or brainwashed her. So there is some validity, like I said, to the CIA. They brainwash the shit out of people, and and so I really want nothing to do with the United States. I want nothing to do with anyone. I'm not even allowed to have an income, and I did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong when I reported these people. And the next thing I know, my ex is trying to twist it, and the people, Robert and Don Norum, are trying to make it look like I'm a terrorist, when they're probably the terrorist. And of course, Robert Norum is a controlled demolition worker. This should never happen. But if this can go on in the United States, it can go on with anybody. And that tells you right now that you're under a foreign government and don't even see it. And that's my opinion. And no, I don't support Islam. I'm not a fan of the religion of Islam. I would never willingly convert to Islam. It's a terrible religion, treats women like crap. A lot of extremism, a lot of violent teachings, a promotion of violence. I don't agree with Islam in a lot of ways. I do agree that people have a right to choose, to freely choose, to believe whatever they want, any religion that they want. You know, so you can't ban all Muslims simply because they're Muslim, even in the United States, even if you disagree, you know, with their belief system, so long as they're not hurting anybody. That's going to be hard to tell, because it's hard to tell. So you have 3 Thomas Clarks on there. So that kind of shows that either there's more than one Thomas Clark posting, or he's using multiple accounts. So that's the end of it right there. But you can take a look at this real clearly. That the police department at least verifies that he made this Craigslist post. So Craigslist is involved in this as well. And we already know that he was in the Kent Giuliano trial, and Kent Giuliano is the son of Roxanne Giuliano, a Human Rights Commission investigator. And I did file one years ago against Scott Fetzer Company at DeRose and Associates. And he did marry a clerk in New Hampshire. So, if that doesn't tell you what the problem is.